everyone, my name is Neri and welcome to English with yours truly. And in today's video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite grammar lessons, and that's conditionals. I like conditionals because it talks about people's imaginations, the ifs, and the possibilities in this life, whether it's in the past, the present, and in the future. You know, conditionals can be a little difficult to learn, but once you master it, I can assure you that it can be extremely useful for you. Today, I'm going to give you some basic knowledge of the 4 conditionals in English, and with a lot of practice, I'm very sure that you will soon be able to understand native speakers and be able to speak like them. There are 4 kinds of conditionals in English. We have zero conditional, first conditional, second conditional, and the third conditional. Before we talk about them, I want us to break down a conditional sentence to understand its structure and components. Let's look at this example. If you don't hurry, you will be late. Now, all conditional sentences use the word if, normally found in the beginning of the sentence. Conditional sentences are composed of 2 parts. The first part is the if clause. The second part is the main clause. Now, the if clause is also called the condition, and the main clause is the result. Remember that with conditionals, the if clause or the condition must happen first before you get the result. It's like cause and effect. If you do this, this will happen. If you don't do this, this will happen. So situations and their consequences.
Let's tackle the zero conditional. Zero conditional is used to talk about scientific facts or things that are generally true. Think about what happens in the following conditions. If you heat butter, it melts. If you freeze water, it turns into ice. If you throw wood into the water, it floats. Notice that we are thinking about a result that is always true for these conditions. The result of the condition is an absolute certainty. We are not thinking about the future or the past or even the present. We are thinking about a simple fact. Conditional type 0 also talks about things which always happen under certain conditions. Let me give you some more examples. If I stay up late at night, I feel tired in the morning. If I'm late at work, my boss gets angry. If I wake up early, I go jogging. The important thing about the zero conditional is that the condition always has the same result. Zero conditional is easy to form. We use simple present for the if clause and simple present as well for the main clause. Moving on to the first conditional. This type of conditional is used when talking about real possibilities in the future. Let's try this example. If it rains, I will stay home. Imagine that you want to go to the park, but you looked outside and there are some rain clouds in the sky. Now you're thinking of the possibility of rain and what you will do if it happens. Remember that in this situation, it's not raining yet, but there's a possibility of rain. This is the possible condition in the future and the possible result of this condition. Take note that in using first conditional, there is a real possibility that the condition will happen. To structure first conditional, we use the present simple tense to talk about the possible future condition, which is the if clause. We use will plus base verb to talk about the possible future result, which is our main clause. Now let's go to the second conditional. This is used to talk about impossible or imaginary situations in the present or future. Yes, we're still thinking about the future. We're thinking about a particular condition in the present or future and the result of this condition. But unlike the first conditional, the second conditional is about unreal situations in the present or future. Let me explain it better using these two examples. If the weather is nice, we'll go swimming. Here, there's a real possibility that the weather will be nice in the future. And if that happens, we'll go swimming. There is a real possibility of the condition happening in the future. If I had $1 million, I would buy a yacht. Well, the truth is I don't have $1 million, so it's very unlikely or it's impossible for me to buy a yacht. It's just something I imagined I would do if I had $1 million. Here's how you form the second conditional. If I won the lottery, I would travel the world. So that's if plus past simple plus would plus base verb. Note that you can use other modal verb like could and might in place of would. For example, if I won the lottery, I might give all the money to charity. If I had more money, I could buy a car. You may notice that in second conditional, we use were instead of was, like in these two sentences. If I were you, I would quit smoking. If I were taller, I would be a model. The reason we use were instead of was is because the sentences are in subjunctive mood, which is used for hypothetical situations. A subjunctive mood expresses a wish, a demand, or a suggestion. Let's now cover the third conditional. Remember that in first and second conditional, we talk about present and future conditions and results. With the third conditional, we talk about the past, a condition in the past that didn't happen. Let's look at this example. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. Here, if I had studied harder is a condition in the past that did not happen. You did not study hard. The imaginary result of this condition is I would have passed the exam. Again, this result didn't happen because you didn't study hard. The important thing to remember about the third conditional is that both the condition and the result are impossible now, simply because the condition is in the past and it did not happen. Hence, third conditional is mostly used to express regrets. To further illustrate the difference between second and third conditionals, let's look at these two examples. If I had $1 million, I would travel the world. This is an imaginary situation in the present or future, which is unlikely to happen because I don't have $1 million. If I had studied harder, I would have passed the exam. This never existed in the past. I did not study hard. Hence, I did not pass the exam. This is only an imaginary situation in the past, hence it is impossible to happen. Here's how we structured the third conditional. The if clause or the condition is formed using if plus past perfect. If I had studied harder. The main clause or the result is formed using would have, could have, may have, or might have, plus past participle. I would have passed the exam.
I know studying grammar can be very challenging, confusing, and utterly difficult for a lot of ESL students. But just remember this. Improper grammar can affect meaning and clarity of your intended message to someone. If you make a lot of grammar mistakes, it can lead to confusion and misunderstanding, which I'm sure you don't want to happen. So just be patient, keep on studying, keep on practicing until you get it right.